I'm gonna tell you about the night I realized my marriage was basically a fucking joke. That one dinner led me to uncover something way bigger than I ever imagined. My name's Marcus, I'm 36, I live in Denver. Until that Tuesday evening, I thought my wife's family just had their usual rich people problems. Turns out, I was wrong about a lot of things. So Sarah, my wife, mentions her family wants to do this big dinner thing. She doesn't exactly ask me to come, just says it like I'm supposed to show up. The Brass Monkey, this expensive steakhouse downtown, they charge you $50 just to look at the menu. I put on my good shirt, the one without any stains, drive over thinking maybe tonight won't suck for once. I walk up to the hostess stand, give my name Marcus Chen, I say, expecting the usual bullshit smile and a table number. Instead, this kid looks at me like I just asked him to donate a kidney. Sorry sir, I don't see anything under that name. Try Peterson, I say, that's Sarah's dad's name. I'm meeting them here. He flips through his book again. His face lights up. Well yeah, table for 6 under Robert Peterson. They're already seated. That hit me weird, but I didn't know why yet. I follow where he's pointing. There they are, Sarah, her parents, her sister Emma, her brother Jake, all dressed up laughing, drinking wine, like they're in some fucking commercial for rich people problems. Marcus. I turn around and there's Linda, Sarah's mom, standing behind me like she's been waiting for this exact moment. She looks me up and down, like I'm something stuck to her shoe. Oh Marcus, she says, putting on this fake-ass surprised voice, you didn't actually think you were invited, did you? At first I think she's joking, but the way she's smiling, all teeth, no warmth, tells me she's dead serious. Behind her, Sarah's still stirring her drink, like nothing's happening. Emma and Jake see me. They just hide behind their wine glasses, trying not to laugh. This place is a bit out of your range, Linda says, leaning in closer. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings down the street, might be more your speed. Now, I've put up with Linda's shit for years. The little comments, the fake smiles, the way she always mentions how Sarah could have done better. Whenever I'm in earshot. But this was different. This was planned. Something about it felt familiar, in a way that made my stomach turn. That's when I remembered something. A name, a connection, something they didn't know about. Actually, I say, straightening my jacket. Could you do me a favor? Ask Tony Ricci to come out here. Linda actually laughs. Tony Ricci, the owner, what are you going to do? Tell him you're Yelp famous? Just tell him Marcus Chen wants to say hi. He'll know who I am. The hostess kid looks between us, like he's watching a tennis match. Linda crosses her arms. This is ridiculous. Is it? I ask, keeping my voice calm, because Tony and I go way back to when this place was just a pipe dream. A business plan I helped him write. Her smile starts to crack a little. You're bluffing, am I? The hostess comes back a minute later, eyes wide. Mr. Ricci is on his way out. I watch Linda's face go through about 5 different emotions at once. Behind her, Sarah finally looks up from her drink. For the first time tonight, she's actually looking at me. The kitchen doors swing open. Out walks Tony Ricci, mid-50s, still built like he could bench press a cow, gray hair slicked back. The second he sees me, his whole face lights up. Marcus fucking Chen, he shouts, not giving a damn about the fancy atmosphere. Jesus Christ, where the hell have you been? He walks over, grabs me in one of those hugs that could crack ribs. Tony, I say, grinning, good to see you, man, good to see me. Shit, you disappear for 2 years and that's all I get. He pulls back, still grinning. Last time I saw you, we were knee-deep in permit applications, arguing about whether to put the bar on the left or right side, and I was right. I say, yeah, you were right. Bartender can see the whole room from there. Best fucking decision we made. He turns to the hostess. Whatever this man wants, he gets. Table, drinks, the whole damn restaurant, if he asks for it. Linda's standing there like someone just told her Santa Claus isn't real. Behind her, I can see Sarah staring at us, mouth slightly open. I won't have him standing around out here like he doesn't belong. Tony continues, not in my house. This man helped build this place from the ground up. He claps me on the shoulder. Come on, let me introduce you to some of the new guys. Got a couple kids from culinary school. Think they know everything? Could use someone to tell them how it really works. We talk for another few minutes, long enough for everyone at that table to hear phrases like saved my ass more than once and this guy's basically family. Then Tony heads back to the kitchen, but not before telling the staff to treat me like royalty. The hostess kid turns to me, still looking rattled. Mr. Chen, would you like me to show you to your table? Linda looks like she's about to throw up. A shrug like I've got all the time in the world. Sure, let's go say hello. I walk over to their table. The whole dynamic shifts. Sarah scoots over to make room. Not meeting my eyes, Emma gives me this look, half curiosity, half fear. Jake just sits there, like he's trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Linda's the last one to sit down. She drops into her chair. Like someone cut her strings. I sit down slowly. Put my napkin on my lap. For the first time all night, I'm not just Sarah's husband. I'm the guy with the power. The one they didn't see coming. But here's the thing. As I'm sitting there watching them squirm, something's bugging me about this whole setup. The way Linda was positioned by the door, the way they were all dressed up, none of them seemed surprised when I didn't show up initially. This wasn't just family dinner politics. This felt choreographed. Before Tony's even back in the kitchen, the wait staff is scrambling. Extra chair, new place setting, the whole 9 yards. Tony made sure of that. It's killing Linda. I watch her flinch every time someone calls me Mr. Chen. So Linda says, trying to get her game face back on. This is certainly unexpected. Yeah, I say. Casual as hell. Funny how things work out. Emma clears her throat. So you and Tony really know each other that well? I helped him open this place, I say, back when it was just an idea. A lease he couldn't afford. I ran the numbers, helped with the business plan. Connected him with investors. Hell, I designed half the layout. Jake blinks. Wait. So you're like, in the restaurant business? Was still do consulting sometimes. Actually, I'm the one who helped Tony get the liquor license for this place. That was a nightmare. Involving 3 different city departments, a lot of carefully placed phone calls. Linda can't help herself. Well, consulting and actually running a business are 2 different things. I turn to her and smile. You're right. Which is why I charged him a 6-figure fee for that consulting work. She freezes. Sarah's wineglass clinks. She sets it down too hard. Plus all the connections I made for him I add. Though I didn't charge for those, that would've been tacky. Some people just happen to know the right people, Linda says. But her voice is tight now. Oh, I didn't just happen to know them. I say, I work my ass off for every single connection I've got. Not everyone gets born with a Rolodex, you know. Her eyes narrow. Some of us understand the value of legacy. Sure, I say, keeping my voice level, but it helps to know where that legacy gets its funding. Sarah actually flinches at that one. Emma looks confused. What do you mean? I take a sip of water before answering. Linda, you remember when Jake needed that emergency capital infusion for his tech startup? About 3 years ago. She goes stiff. That's not relevant. Funny, because I'm the one who wrote the check. The table goes dead quiet. Emma and Jake both stare at their mother. He was 2 weeks away from losing everything. I continue. Couldn't make payroll. Couldn't pay rent. I stepped in quietly. No big announcement. No family meeting. Just handled it. That's... Linda starts, but doesn't finish. Ancient history, I suggest, because he's still sending me quarterly reports on my investment. Sarah looks at me like she's seeing a ghost. You never told me. You never asked. And Jake asked me not to make a big deal about it. Said it would be embarrassing if the family knew. Jake's face is red now. But there's something else there. Relief maybe. Like he's been carrying this weight for years. Marcus, Jake starts. It's fine. I say, that's what family does, right? Linda's gripping her fork, like she wants to stab someone with it. Oh, and Emma, I add, turning to Sarah's sister. Remember that scholarship you got senior year? The one that covered your last semester when you lost your academic funding? Emma's eyes go wide. The anonymous donor, I nod. Not so anonymous now. Jesus Christ, Jake mutters. But I'm just getting started. Something about their reactions is telling me this goes deeper than family embarrassment. And Robert, I say, turning to Sarah's dad. Remember when your business was going under 2 years ago, when you were about to lose the house? Robert looks up for the first time. I see something in his eyes. Looks a lot like panic. That anonymous wire transfer that saved you from foreclosure. Also me. Linda's face has gone completely white. Or we could talk about your medical bills after the heart attack. Insurance didn't cover everything, did it? That mysterious payment that covered the difference. Stop, Sarah says quietly. Why? I ask her. But I'm watching Robert now. Because it's embarrassing? Because it ruins the story you've all been telling yourselves? Marcus, Robert says, his voice shaky. You don't understand. Actually, I'm starting to think I understand perfectly. I look around the table. For 5 years, I've been the safety net for this family. The one who writes the checks when shit hits the fan. The one who makes the calls when you need favors. And the whole time, you've treated me like I'm lucky to be here. We never asked you to do any of that, Linda says, but her voice lacks conviction. No, you didn't ask. You just took it, and then you had the balls to exclude me from a family dinner. Like I'm some kind of charity case. But as I'm saying this, I'm watching their faces. Something doesn't add up. Linda looks guilty, sure, but Robert looks terrified. Jake keeps glancing at his dad. Like he's waiting for permission to speak, and Emma looks like she's putting pieces together for the first time. There's something else, isn't there? I say. The silence stretches out, like a rubber band about to snap. Marcus, Sarah says quietly. Maybe we should just go home. No, I say, still watching Robert. I think we're just getting to the good part. Robert takes a shaky sip of his wine. I don't know what you mean, really, because you look like a man with secrets. Linda tries to jump in. This is ridiculous. You're embarrassing yourself. But I'm not backing down. Not anymore. How many other families are you doing this to? What? Emma asks. The setup tonight. The way you positioned yourself by the door, Linda. The way none of you seemed surprised when I wasn't on the reservation list. This wasn't spontaneous family drama. This was a test. Jake shifts in his seat. Marcus, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because I've been thinking about some things that didn't make sense before. Like how you always seem to have just enough rope to hang yourself. Financially speaking, just enough trouble to need rescuing. But never enough to actually go under completely. Robert's hands are shaking now, and how there's always someone else in the same boat. Another family with a deployed husband. Another startup founder who's weeks away from bankruptcy. Another medical emergency that insurance won't quite cover. The realization hits me like a freight train. You're running some kind of fucking scam, aren't you? The table explodes into chaos. Linda's denying everything. Sarah's trying to get me to stop talking. But Robert just puts his face in his hands. How many other guys like me are there? I ask. How many other husbands writing checks to save families that aren't really in trouble? Marcus, stop, Sarah says. But her voice is shaking now too. That's why you never wanted me too involved in the details. Why there was always another emergency. Right when the last one got resolved. You've been farming me. Jake finally speaks up. It's not what you think, really. Then tell me what it is. He looks at his father, then back at me. There are others, but we're not targeting random people. We're helping them. Helping them what? Launder money, Robert says quietly, not looking up from his hands. The bottom drops out of my stomach. Jesus fucking Christ, I breathe. It's not as bad as it sounds, Emma says quickly. We only work with people who are already doing well. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt. I stand up, my chair scraping against the floor. I've been unknowingly laundering money for 3 years. The restaurant investments, the startup funding, even the medical payments, Robert says. All of it gets cleaned through legitimate businesses. Charitable contributions, your name stays clean, the money gets processed. Everyone wins. Everyone except the guys like me who don't know they're part of it. Linda finally finds her voice. You think we wanted this? You think we planned for our son-in-law to be so eager to help? But you sure as hell took advantage of it. I sit back down, trying to process this. How big is this operation? 17 families across 4 states, Jake says quietly. Military mostly, some tech guys or few finance people, all guys with clean records of money to throw around. And tonight was what? A test to see if I'd keep playing along, even when you treat me like shit. Sarah speaks up for the first time in minutes. We needed to know if you'd walk away if things got difficult. Because if I walked away, I might start asking questions. About where my money really went, something like that. I lean back in my chair, looking around the table of my wife, her family, people I've been supporting for years. They've been using me as an unwitting front for money laundering. Who else knows about you specifically? Just us, Robert says. About the operation, more people than I'd like. How much money are we talking about? About 12 million a year gets processed through the network, Jake says. Your contributions account for maybe 8% of that. So roughly $1 million. That I've unknowingly helped launder. Clean investments. Linda corrects. You've never done anything illegal. All your contributions were legitimate, but they were part of a larger illegal operation. Technically, yes. I sit there for a moment, letting it all sink in. Then I start laughing. Not because it's funny, but because it's so fucking absurd. You know what the really crazy part is? I say I actually respect the hustle. It's smart. Use guys like me who have clean money and a savior complex. Let us think we're being noble. Funnel everything through legitimate channels. Marcus, Sarah starts. No, seriously, it's brilliant except for one thing. What's that? You got greedy? You could have kept this going for years, if you'd just treated me with basic human respect. But you had to push it. Had to see how far you could go. I stand up again. Well, congratulations, you found the limit. What are you going to do? Robert asks. I pull out my phone. That depends on you. What do you mean? I mean, I've been recording this conversation for the last 15 minutes. And I'm going to walk out of here. You're going to have exactly 24 hours to decide whether you want to wind this operation down quietly, or whether you want me to hand this recording over to the buy. The color drains from Linda's face. You can't. Actually, I can and I will. Unless every single family in your network gets contacted in the next day, told that their benefactor is pulling out due to personal reasons. Clean breaks, no questions asked. That will destroy people's lives, Emma says. No. It won't, because I'm like you. I'm not going to leave them hanging. I'm going to make sure every legitimate investment gets honored. Every real debt gets paid. But this operation ends now. I look around the table one more time. Oh, And one more thing, my marriage to Sarah. That ends too. Sarah's eyes fill with tears. Marcus, please. No, I can forgive being used. I can even forgive being lied to, but I can't forgive being made into an unknowing criminal. I drop $300 on the table. This should cover dinner. Consider it your last contribution from the Marcus Chen Relief Fund. And then I walk out. No drama, no raised voices, just the truth hanging in the air behind me like smoke. The drive home is the longest of my life. Every red light, every turn, I'm processing what just happened. My wife and her family have been using me as a front for money laundering for 3 years, and I never suspected a thing, because I was too busy trying to be the perfect husband and son-in-law. Back at the house, I don't pack right away. Instead, I sit in my office, start making calls. First call goes to Tom Brady, not the quarterback. My friend who works financial crimes for the Denver Byfield office. We went to college together, stayed in touch over the years. Tom, it's Marcus. I need to talk to you about something, unofficially. What's up? Hypothetically, if someone discovered they'd been unknowingly participating in a money laundering operation, what would be the best way to handle that? There's a long pause. Marcus, what the hell have you gotten yourself into? I tell him everything. The dinner, the family dynamics, the revelation about the operation. When I finish, he's quiet for a long time. You said you recorded the conversation? Yeah, and may have 24 hours to wind it down. That's what I told them. That was smart. Gives us time to set up surveillance, track the other families, maybe flip some of them into cooperating witnesses. So you're interested? Hell yes, we're interested. Financial crimes involving military families? That's exactly the kind of case that gets attention from the top. What do I need to do for now? Act normal. Go home. Don't let them know you've talked to anyone. We'll have agents positioned to watch the family. See who they contact, how they try to clean this up. And what about me? You're clean, Marcus. Everything you did was legitimate. You're a victim here, not a perpetrator. After I hang up with Tom, I call my lawyer. Then I call my accountant. Then I start going through every financial document in the house, flagging anything that might be connected to the Peterson family network. It's almost midnight when Sarah gets home. She comes into the office, finds me surrounded by papers. Marcus, I look up at her. She looks exhausted, defeated. How long have you known? I ask. She sits down across from me. About the money laundering? Since before we got married. That hits me like a punch to the gut. So this whole relationship? No, she says quickly. That part was real. I fell in love with you, Marcus. That was never fake. That you were okay with using me. I tried to talk them out of it multiple times, but when you started offering to help with Jake's business, and then with Dad's medical bills, it just seemed easier to let you think you were being generous, easier than telling me the truth. Would you have stayed if you'd known? I look at her for a long time. I don't know, maybe. If you'd trusted me enough to be honest from the beginning, and now it doesn't matter. I called the buy tonight. Her face goes white. Marcus, no, it's done. Sarah, Tom Brady, you remember him from college? He's financial crimes now. He's got the recording. He's got my statement. By tomorrow morning, this whole thing is going to be under federal investigation. She starts crying. You've destroyed my family? No. I didn't. Your family destroyed itself. I just stopped enabling it. I stand up, grab the suitcase I'd packed earlier. I'm going to a hotel tonight. Tomorrow I'm filing for divorce. Marcus, please. I loved you, Sarah. I really did, but I can't be married to someone who could lie to me about something this big for this long. The next few weeks are a blur. By interviews, legal meetings, media attention, the Peterson Network, as they start calling it, turns out to be even bigger than Jake had admitted. 23 families across 6 states, processing nearly $20 million a year. The other benefactors, guys like me who thought they were just being generous, most are relieved to learn the truth. A few are angry, but most are just glad to be out of it. Robert and Linda Peterson get arrested on racketeering charges. Jake flips, becomes a cooperating witness in exchange for a reduced sentence. Emma, it turns out, was mostly in the dark about the details, gets immunity for testifying. Sarah pleads guilty to conspiracy charges, gets 3 years probation and community service. She loses her boutique. Turns out most of the investment money was laundered funds anyway. I testify at the trial, explaining how the family had manipulated my desire to help into unknowing participation in their scheme. The prosecutor calls me a victim of financial manipulation and emotional abuse. It takes 8 months for everything to get resolved legally. By then, I'm living in Austin, working with Tony on that whiskey bar we'd talked about. It's clean money, legitimate investors, everything above board. One evening, I'm going over supplier contracts. My phone rings, unknown Denver number. Hello, Marcus, it's Jake. I haven't talked to him since the trial. Jake, how are you doing? Getting by. Just got out of minimum security last week. How long did you end up getting? 18 months, but I only served 14 good behavior. That's good. Listen, I called because I wanted to apologize. Really apologize, not the bullshit I said in court. I set down my pen. I'm listening. We fucked up, man, all of us. You were the best thing that happened to our family, and we treated you like a mark. Yeah, you did. Sarah, she's been asking about you. Wondering if you'd ever consider talking to her. How is she? Rough. The whole thing destroyed her. She's living with Emma now, working at a coffee shop, trying to figure out how to rebuild her life. I think about that for a moment. Tell her I hope she figures it out. Really, but we're done, Jake. That bridge isn't just burned, it's been demolished and paved over. I figured, but I had to ask. I understand. For what it's worth, Marcus, you did the right thing. There are a lot of families who would have gotten hurt worse. If you hadn't stopped it when you did. After he hangs up, I sit on my balcony, glass of whiskey in hand, thinking about everything that's happened. The betrayal still stings, but there's something else there too. Relief maybe, or just the satisfaction of knowing I didn't let them get away with it. My phone buzzes with a text from Tom Brady. Saw the news about the final sentencing. Robert Peterson got 8 years federal. Thought you'd want to know. I text back, justice served. Thanks for everything. Thank you. This case made my career. First big financial crimes bust that actually stuck. I smile and put the phone away. Below me, Austin's spreading out in all directions, full of possibilities and clean money. People who don't know my story, and that's exactly how I want it. 6 months later, I'm at the grand opening of The Silent Partner. The whiskey bar Tony and I opened together. It's a good name, I think. Honest, the place is packed. The reviews are great. I'm finally building something that's entirely mine. No hidden agendas, no family drama, no secrets, just good whiskey, honest business, the kind of peace that comes from knowing you did the right thing. Even when it cost you everything you thought you wanted. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. Sometimes it's just getting out, telling the truth, building something better with what's left. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, the buy sends you a thank you note for helping them take down one of the biggest money laundering operations in the region. I framed that letter. It hangs behind the bar, next to our liquor license and the first dollar we made, because some stories end with revenge, some end with justice. The good ones end with both. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.